This one says, when will we get, I guess it means curbside recycling again? Do you agree that there is global warming? What can Farmers Branch do to be environmentally friendly? I think the Farmers Branch aspect of this, curbside recycling, and what can we do to be environmentally friendly? In my spirit of randomness, who's up? Gene? Okay.
One of the issues that I feel personally very strong about is curbside recycling. I regretted when we stopped having curbside recycling. I understand that it's an investment that the city made. We were not making money on it. But I believe that if we promote it and we educate our citizens, we can at least make curbside recycling a break-even proposition. I would support strongly curbside recycling if it is not a burden, if we can do it so that there is so it doesn't cost the city money. I believe very strongly that we need to get involved in all the green activities. We need to look at least providing incentives for builders that build green. These are the kinds of things that promote our city, give us a good reputation and not the reputation that we currently enjoy.
We'll go down to Harold. This is for everyone. Everyone gets this question, right? Advisors? Okay.
Could you read the question, please?
I made it up as I went. When will we get curbside recycling, and what can Farmers Branch do to be more environmentally friendly?
I think we could have curbside recycling also. However, curbside recycling has a lot to do with the cost of paper, the cost of aluminum, and if we have to pick it up and we can't sell it, or the market price of that product makes us spend more money, then maybe the residents need to do their own recycling and have to take it down to the city someplace where they can deposit it and just give the city the money for them doing the recycling. I think that would be smart because it may not be cost effective for the city to pick it up and then try to sell it. It may just cost us too much money. Green building, I would agree with that. In the future, we need to look at architecture that involves the temperature and also the landscaping. Native landscaping, I think we should use. Anything we can do to help the environment that is cost effective, I would be in favor of. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, it all comes down to democracy. I mean, I know there's probably quite a few people in Farmers Branch that think that recycling, I mean, it can help the environment, but I'm sure a lot of you, pardon my language, would think it would be a pain in the ass. And when I was at the Marine Station at 29 Palms, California, it was a pain in the hindquarters. We had like 5 different recycling bins. We had to throw different types of plastic in one, paper in the other, glass in the other, and I think it should be put to a vote. On recyclable paper, the ballot should be at least printed on recyclable paper. But I think the constituency should decide whether or not they want recycling, curbside recycling. Thank you.
My response is, I think, going to be different, and it might surprise you. I think the United States is a great country, but I think we don't do enough for the environment. I've traveled, been lucky. I've traveled to Europe, and I've been to several countries, and it is amazing to me the commitment they have to recycling. If they can do it, why can't we? So, we talk about illegal immigration. Hey, then let's start with recycling here in the United States and here in Farmers Branch. Let's take the lead. Thank you.
Not a lot of people know this, but the city received an award recently for reducing energy consumption, and I think it was 5% over a 5-year period. So the city is actually doing some things regarding the green movement, as we'll call it. We also offer recycling bins, and it's something, and I know it's small, but it's a step in the right direction, I think. We recycle Christmas trees and provide mulch to people with from the Christmas tree choppings. I think, and this may surprise some of you, I think we don't do enough to take care of our planet. And I think being more green friendly, as it's called, is the right route to go. And one of the things that we did when we sat down and set city council goals back at the end of June of '07, is we wanted to create our own tree farm to replace trees that we lose due to storms or due to age, or just to add trees to our parks, and also to provide a way to get residents to trees in a cost-effective manner. So that was one of the goals we set, and I think you'll see in the next year a tree nursery be formed here in Farmers Branch.
Okay, that completes round something. And we're gonna have something very special here that no one else knows about. This is a lightning round. And I'm gonna make up the question, and we'll make it a yes/no answer. So we ought to be able to do it quickly. It relates to single-member district. A couple questions say, single-member districts would be effective at bringing in diverse citizen groups. What is your position regarding single-member districts for Farmers Branch? Let's start at Ruben and go across this one.
Okay.
The idea of a single-member district is you have a geographic area which elects someone from that area to serve on a designated place in city council. That's what I think it is.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think, as you all are aware, if you lived, I've lived in Farmers Branch for 36 years. In all those 36 years, I know that's not a long time, but it is for me. I've never had a representative on the city council or a mayor from my area. They always seem to come from the same area. But even with that, you know, I'm very torn about single-member districts. So what I would suggest is that we do both, that we have people run at large and also have some single-member districts, because we need all citizens represented, not just one area. Thank you.
Slow-moving lightning. Go ahead, Jane.
Yes.
Single-member districts, first of all, I don't think Farmers Branch is big enough to have single-member districts under the current laws that we now look at. Secondly, I like the idea about being able to call 5 or 6 people rather than 1 if I have a problem. And I've done that several times over the years. So I think there is a total advantage by being able to call every councilman and the mayor in Farmers Branch when there is an issue. So my vote for single districts currently would be no.
Jane?
I am not in favor of single-member districts as well. I think that Farmers Branch is too small. What I would like to see us do is to elect Ruben as city council, and that would end any discussion of single-member districts.
Jim?
I am not in favor of single-member districts. I think it would be a disaster for our city. It would slow progress. It would create infighting amongst the council if you could elect. My view is you get the people that are best suited to run the city get elected. And I think the people that will get elected this time are the ones best suited to run the city. And if a majority of the people think they're the best ones, that's who should go in, not narrow it down into little bitty sections and little bitty parts of town. I don't think that would be good for our city.
Thank you. That was our lightning round. And I think this is gonna be the last round we have for questions before closing. So you can all breathe a sigh of relief and know that the end is in sight. But before I get to this question, let me say what I know about election, you know, like the voting process. Election day is May 10th. That's a Saturday. And early voting is, who knows this off? Starts Monday and runs through May 6th, which is a Tuesday, I believe. The hours vary. I think the first 5 days is like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it's a little complicated. Every day, including Saturday and Sunday, you can vote early. And my understanding is that you could vote at any of the locations that have early voting in Dallas County. And one that's particularly convenient for us is City Hall, Farmers Branch City Hall. So regardless of where you live, for early voting, you can go to City Hall and vote early. Or if you happen to work or travel to one of the other locations in Dallas County, you can also vote early there. Take your voter's card and utility bill or whatever you need to vote. Election day is a little more complicated. There are probably going to be 7 different locations for voting on Election Day, Saturday, May 10th. And believe it or not, they haven't all been determined yet. So, having worked at the polls and people come in and say, I've voted here every year, what do you mean I can't vote here? Well, they move around. And so be prepared on Election Day to perhaps the day before, if that's when you're going to vote, call City Hall and find out for sure where your precinct votes. Many of them will be at familiar places, but not all, and that may avoid a surprise on Election Day.
Will it be on the website for Farmers Branch?
I don't know. Probably.
It will be once it's decided. I talked to Cindy today, trying to figure out what it is. Once it's decided, they'll put it up, but they're not gonna put it up until they know for sure.
It's odd that it isn't determined until, hasn't been determined yet, but that's the way it is. The final question for everyone relates to retail, and this is really combining a couple of questions, but it relates specifically to plans for retail on the east side of Farmers Branch, and specifically a new grocery store. So what can or will you do to encourage new retail and grocery store, particularly on the east side?
I don't understand that. I need to.
Well, people, what will you do to get a new grocery store in Farmers Branch? What are the plans to get more retail, small stores, et cetera, to provide goods for residents on the east side? How do we develop retail on the east side, in particularly including grocery? I think that's the question. Who feels random? Jay?
Well, the main way to attract a grocery store is, hey, 2 words, sell alcohol. You know something, I don't really care if you don't drink alcohol yourself, but I should have the right to do it, and I should have the right to buy it in my own city. And that's really all I feel about that. And if you think for 1 second that crime is going to increase because we sell alcohol in our city, then shame on you. Shame on you for letting crime happen in your city just because people are going around with some alcohol in their system. You know something? You should either get up off your butt and call the police, or you should stop them yourself, okay? Because that's called vigilance. Thank you.
Ruben? Promoting retail, grocery on the east side.
Yeah, I understand the question, I just don't understand the east side. I've never thought of Farmers Branch as being on the east side. I'm going to take a liberty here and think that the east side is a Four Corners area. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, but that's where I'm going.
East of 35.
I'm sorry?
East of 35.
I think it was meant, not the Mercer Crossing, but where people live now. I think that's-
Well, I'm gonna say it's the Four Corners area, because I think that's what needs to be developed. What would I do? Well, I think the Four Corners area is what needs to be developed in our city. It's long overdue. I've been here 36 years, and it looks almost the same. There used to be a gas station where the bank is. You know, there was a Safeway, and, you know, there's been some grocery stores. But what we need to do is we need to have an anchor tenant in the Four Corners area. And the way we're gonna do that is we're going to have some incentive for developers to come in and rebuild the Four Corners. If we don't do that, if we don't have some type of TIF or some abatements or some incentives for developers, they're not gonna come to the Four Corners area. And that, I think, is the #1 challenge for this city council. How are we gonna do that? What are we gonna do? Do you all want it? I say yes. The people that I talk to say yes. But again, this is a citizen's decision. If y'all feel we need to develop the Four Corners area, then let us know, and we'll do it. Thank you.
We'll wrap around to Tim.
I would say a grocery store is probably, during all the meet and greets I've done, where we go have candidate parties in people's neighborhoods, it's probably one of the top 3 things we hear over and over and over. And there's 2 or 3 things in the works right now that may actually see a nice quality grocery store show up shortly. In the Dark Station area, I think we'll get a master plan delivered to us within 30 to 60 days. I say us, I hope it's us. I hope I'm part of us. And we will be able to vote on a plan that will include the possibility of a major grocery store tenant in the Dart Station area near Valley View and 35. Also, Brookhaven Business Park, which was purchased recently and scheduled to be demolished. And Brookhaven Business Park, for those who don't know, is the white two-story office buildings and the land in between Josie and Webb Chapel on the OBJ Service Road. Negotiations are underway to bring in a number of tenants there, and grocery stores are in contact with the developer. I flew up to Lubbock. Wow, 15 seconds to squeeze that in. I flew up to Lubbock several months ago, brought the city manager and assistant city manager with me. We met with a developer by the name of Delbert McDougal, who's done some incredible turnaround projects in Lubbock and is now doing them in Irving. And we are in negotiations with him to come in and address the Four Corners and make something happen. So that's also another possibility that could potentially be right around the corner.
The Four Corners area is a disgrace for this city. It really needs to be redeveloped. If I have control, and if the citizens back my wish, then we will redevelop the Four Corners area. If we need a grocery store, if we can get a grocery store in the Four Corners area, that is great. We have a good plan. We have a really outstanding plan for Four Corners. It's gonna take money. The city is gonna have to provide some incentives to get a developer in to develop in Four Corners. Now, I would support those incentives because we need, A, to redevelop Four Corners, B, to get senior housing in, C, to get a grocery store in.
Harold, I think you're,
Okay, I mentioned that I've been in the commercial real estate business for about 35 years, and the sad reality is about the Four Corners. It's not Forest Lane, it's not Coit, it's not Preston Road. There are traffic count issues, there are household income average issues, and grocery stores are reluctant to put big, nice, fancy, Super Kroger, Targets, Walmarts, or whatever those stores are in the kind of area we have in the Four Corners. That's just the fact. I know that the council is working on several plans. There is the Dart Station area plan, where I think we have the best shot at getting the first grocery store because of the visibility from I-35 and because of the new construction. The Four Corners, and we're all gonna have to face the fact, is a special situation. It's not gonna be fixed overnight. There is anywhere from 29 to 41 property owners to negotiate with if somebody goes to attempt to buy that property or any portion of it. Probably what's gonna happen, in my estimation, is one corner will be developed under the city's master scenario at one time. But I see the greatest hope for a grocery store is being in the new Dart Station area. And as Tim mentioned, there is a plan afoot, and we're gonna get an opportunity to vote on it. Thank you.
thank you. This brings us to the closing round, which is closing statements from each of the 5 people on the stage. And we started left to right at opening round, so we'll go from right to left for closing statements. 2 minutes, and starting with Ruth.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank you all for sitting through this. I know it's been long, but I think we've all gotten our point across. I'd like to thank the members of the panel because this is a democracy, and we all have a voice, and we all have a right to run. We all have a right to really tell our story and what's important to us. So just like you all have your ideas and your opinions about the city, so do we. So, given that fact, I want to tell you just a little bit about myself. I've been a planning and zoning commissioner for 10 years here in the city of Farmers Branch. No one else on this panel has had the amount of experience that I've had serving y'all. I've had the pleasure of serving y'all for 10 years. Number 2, I've had the opportunity being on a state board. I don't think anyone here can say the same thing. I was appointed by Governor George Bush. I know that's a bad name for some of y'all. But I was appointed to the state board for 5 years. I stayed on that board for 7 years. And in those 7 years, I've accomplished a lot. I worked with a diverse group of people. I worked with some very wealthy people that give their time to boards. And I know their passion, just like I know the passion that we all have on this panel. Because no matter what anyone says, at the end of the day, we all love this city, no matter what you think of us. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to give you our vision of how our city should be run. And what I want from you all is to give me an opportunity to keep serving you. I want your vote. I need your vote. Thank you.
Not bad, not bad. That was a pretty good answer right there. You have served a lot, Mr. Rendon, but I'd like to give Mr. Freilich here credit. He served his country for 20 years in the Army Reserves, and I've served my country as well in the United States Marine Corps.
So have I. I just don't announce it.
Okay, you can go ahead and announce it.
Well, I was in the U.S. Army.
All right, well, very good. So I think that we all have a passion, and he was right, we all have a passion for serving. And I would like to do something a little bit different at Farmers Branch. I'd like to walk around and talk to people, not just before I get elected, and I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna get elected because I'm a realistic individual. But if I do get elected, I will walk around periodically and see what you guys think from time to time, because I think it's important. And if you believe in what I have to say right now, I encourage you to spread the word. And that's all you can do. And that's all I can do, because I'm not spending any money on my campaign. I don't believe in that. I don't think for 1 second you should have to have an abundance of money. You shouldn't have to have a bunch of political signs and put little pamphlets in people's doors just to get the word out, especially in Farmers Branch. Maybe on a big level like the country or the state or the county, but this is Farmers Branch. This is us. It's me and you. So hey, go out there today. I urge you. Tell people about Jay Jackson. What's that, sir? With the what are you mouthing over there, sir? With the white beater on?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Use correct grammar from now on then.
All right. Thank you, Jane.
We've all been campaigning over the last several weeks, and all of us have heard lots of things from everyone here, and I know you're beginning to develop your own opinion, but my major opponent touts himself as a consensus builder while he's accusing the council of secret meetings, being fiscally irresponsible, and voting in their own self-interest. And this is all in writing. It's going to be very tough for him, after what he's talked about the current administration, to build any kind of consensus on council. On the illegal immigration issue, he wants the federal government to address illegal immigration. Well, I feel that if we follow his lead, Farmers Branch would be a sanctuary city. We'd have higher crime rates, our taxes would go up to have to deal with those kinds of issues, and that's not something that I want to deal with. I haven't heard a plan. What we've seen here is just like going to a magic show. The magician holds his hand out while he's doing something else with his hand. These people have come to us criticizing the council, criticizing the administration, talking about secret meetings, voting for self-interest, when what their real agenda is the agenda that they supported last spring and they lost. This is the same song, second verse. I'm going to change all that when you vote for me for city council. Thank you.
want to be your next mayor for two basic reasons. I want to open the doors of City Hall and stop the city council from making unilateral decisions behind closed doors. I'm sorry, where there's smoke, there may be fire. We have 2 lawsuits that we have to deal with for violating the open meetings laws. As mayor, we won't have to worry about changing the laws as the city council wants to do. We'll just follow it as it's written, like all other cities do. I also want to get the city back to its financially conservative roots. We should be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. You should tell us how to spend your money, then we'll spend your money. We shouldn't be borrowing money without getting taxpayer approval. I have the business and financial experience to make all this happen. I have proven leadership skills. I am by far the most qualified candidate in this mayoral race. Now let me talk about myself a bit. I've been very blessed in my life. I have a beautiful wife that I forgot to introduce, Cassie. I apologize. 34 years of marriage. I've been a successful businessman. I've got to do some things that most people don't get to do in their life. I've learned about teamwork and leadership from Darrell Royal as an All-American at the University of Texas. I got to play football with the New York Jets and with Joe Namath. I am a very blessed man. I don't need more accolades and more headlines in my life. I want to be mayor of Farmers Branch because Farmers Branch deserves the best mayor it can get, and I am that person. I ask for your vote, I ask for your support, and I ask for your prayers.
Thank you to the committee for having us tonight. It was very fair. Thank you for that. Thank you, Paul, for agreeing to host. And I'd like to thank each one of these candidates, although we disagree on a number of issues, and there's so many falsehoods out there that I'd like to address, but I don't have an hour and a half to do it. But I do want to say I appreciate their courage for running, because it does take courage, and it takes a lot of hard work, and I admire that in each one of you. I'd like to be the mayor of Farmers Branch because I think I can serve this city better than anyone else. I love this city. I've lived here almost my entire life, and the amount of money, energy and time I have put into the city council over the last 3 years, I would tell you is probably unparalleled. And I will put the same passion into the city that I've put as a councilman if I'm elected mayor. And I said it at the beginning, you may disagree with some of the things that I decide, you may disagree with some of the things I want to see happen, but you can't disagree with how much I love the city, and I think we can make it better. We all know here that it's a special place, but we do need to address some issues. I'd like you to go visit my website to see some of the things that I want to accomplish and some of the things I think can happen, www.electtimohair.com. I'd also like to invite you to 2 events that are happening Friday and Saturday. Friday, we're having an event at Farmers Branch Recreation Center for senior citizens from 11:30 to 1. Please come, please bring your neighbors. And we're also having a community